Had a handful of good opportunities, in particular through Fasila Omondi, including her hitting the post just before the break. Wheeler. Torpy. Sam Kerr asking for the ball. They opt to bypass her and go the way of Sayer, whose run was timed just slightly off, and the flag goes up against the Australian. (113 places in the FIFA rankings separating the Harambe Starlets and the Matildas. Very little to separate them on the pitch through the course of the first 45 minutes. Rule. Van Egmond. Here's Caitlin Ford looking for the run of Sam Kerr. And Gesher. Closely watched by Ann Norler. And Ford trying to find a way through. It's an open goal. It's a big block. Big chance for Australia to double their lead. Once again, Onyango caught out. I say, well, communicative back line means that it is still Kenya 0, Australia 1. Kennedy finds Torpy. Torpy able to break free of the pull of Jericho. Sayer. Torpy getting back to her feet. It's Sam Kerr who's chasing. May have to go alone here, Sam Kerr. Not much in the way of reinforcements, and there was Caitlin Ford. Couldn't find the back of the net. Shot sent high and over. And it's resulted in Nasaka staying down. A collision between her, Onyango, and the on-rushing Caitlin Ford. Another big opportunity for Australia, another big opportunity for Sam Kerr. She was subbed off at half-time in the first game, in the semi-final, after scoring, but just failed to reach the heights that, the standards that she so usually expects of herself. It wasn't a bad ball in the end. It looked like she may have to go alone. Didn't have much in the way of support, but Ford striding forward and then able to hop over the tangle of Nasaka and Onyango. And we may have to have a change here for Kenya. Already missing two players owing to injury, Ruth Ngosi being one of them, who was involved in that head collision with India's Kaka early in the opening game. And Valerie Nkesa, the other injury. Which is a blow for Kenya, because she did have good moments when she came on as a substitute in Nkesa in the second half of the game against India, and spoke well during the week about the ambitions for the team, saying they weren't scared of Australia, and they've certainly played like they have respect for the world number 15s, but there's no fear at all. Arnold. Van Egmond. Rule. Here's Alana Kennedy. Torpy can't keep the ball in play. Will be a throw for Kenya. It's been a challenging time for women's football in Kenya, and feel good result, a strong performance in this final could go some way to changing the narrative for the nation. Hussein Mohammed, the FKF president, called this an exciting opportunity at a time of change for women's football in the nation. Made assurances they're looking at how they can build a game here. The dive just wide as the shot came in from Amy Sayer. Well watched by Onyango. Australia pushing, here's Ford trying to find her way past Saka. Rule. Run being made by Rankin. Onyango gets there first. Australia desperate to try and find a way through. Jericho comes away with the ball. Arnold. Emma Dots. Heatley. 20th appearance for the national team today for Noah Heatley. Kerr sends the ball forward, looking for the run of Ford. Once again, those two have been battling up that wing throughout this game, and it's Australia who will have the throw. It's a brilliant battle that's been emerging through the first half and into this second already. Ford with the delivery. Sayers there! Couldn't get the power on it to guide it past Lillian Onyango. Ford. Here's Caitlin Ford. Has Sam Kerr there. Wheeler under pressure, keeps running, it's Wheeler! It's 2 for Australia. Determination from Claire Wheeler. Well, nothing was going to stop her. Australia doubled their lead early in the second half. Well, not always the most likely source of goals for Australia. But she has doubled their lead in the final of the FIFA Series 2026 Kenya. And that is just the breathing room now that Australia may need. One back by Kerr. They're clicking into gear now. Here's Wheeler, scorer of the second. Back to Kerr. I think about the options that they have on the bench as well, Australia. And McKenna, McNamara, Chidiac. 3 players who scored in the semis. Kennedy finds Ford out wide. Ford, this time she gets the better of the battle. Rankin assessing her options. Rule. Heatley. Rankin stayed high. Heatley. Will be a throw for Kenya. They look to take it quickly, but will be pegged back here because the referee was looking to make time for the change. And now the signal's given, so there will be a slight break in play here. And she wants the ball back to go back to where it was before that throw was taken quickly. Elizabeth Luangu coming on. Looking to get started quickly, Luangu. Had plenty of pace when she came on in the semi-final. Madalena, the player who's come off. Rankin. Saya. Left for Arnold. Lana Kennedy, 150th appearance for Australia. Heatley. Couple forward. Ball gets there. Oh, she's been well marked. Saka has not let her out of her sights through this game. Popular defender in this Kenya team, and you can understand why, looking at her performance tonight. Here's Torpy against Jericho. Finds her way by. Doesn't get very far, though, ends up in a tangle. And this play continues. Heatley. Let's look back at the goal scored by Claire Wheeler, driving her way through. And a collector's edition. She doesn't score often, Claire Wheeler. It is a goal that has just given Australia the breathing room that they need in this game. Wanalima Jellicoe is receiving some instructions. Yes. We still have a player down receiving treatment. Play will resume with a drop ball to the feet of Charlie Rule. Wangu straight into the action. riding the high press alongside Terry and Geshe. Torpy up against Jellicoe. Rule. Wheeler. It's the feet of Sayer. Sayer, curling ball. And it's a third for Australia. But there's confusion. Because has it been given? Well, the referee not convinced that the ball ended up in the back of the net. And Australia have been denied. Well, it will be interesting to watch that back because it looked like the ball had ended up in the back of the net. Now, Australia feeling that they're owed a goal. And Kenya looking to capitalise on the chaos. Omondi looks to strike just wide. Well, the referee's just been notified of something. And it is one of the Kenyan players down. And Diema, the player who's gone down. Now, well, let's take a look back at this because the ball came in and into the roof of the net, and it's very clearly a goal for Australia. And the referee has decided that it's not a goal. Now, I cannot understand the reckoning and the reasoning behind not giving that as a goal. Australia, right to feel robbed, and they will continue to appeal. They're in the ears of the lineswoman, the fourth official, and understandably so. Well, it was fired into the roof of the net by Caitlin Ford, and she may get booked here. But I think it's a booking she may be happy to take as she pleads her case because, well, it's evident from that replay that Australia should have 3 goals. Well, now they're back to defend from this corner. The outswinging ball cleared away. Well, that will be the topic of discussion at full time and no doubt in the press conferences. So a change for Kenya, and as Mango makes her way onto the pitch. She was speaking this week to the press in Kenya, saying how good an opportunity this is to play teams that they wouldn't get to play outside of this series. And confirmation of that yellow card, showing the way of Caitlin Ford for her continued appeals. And rightly so, in that they have been robbed of a goal, Australia. You can understand the frustration. So 65 minutes on the clock. It's Australia who lead Kenya by 2-0. And no doubt Australia will have some bite about trying to get the third goal now, having had their third goal taken away from them. Forward. Flag has gone up against Australia. Jellicoe. Free kick given the way of Kenya. We're looking to take it quickly. Torpy. Omondi. Denied by the post in the first half, and Gesha getting forward ahead of her. Wangu there as well. Needed in the end. Saya. Well, one back by Heatley. Here's Sam Kerr, the flag's gone up though. She doesn't agree with the decision, and Sam Kerr is making her feelings known. Will help Nyango back to her feet. Well, it was close, there wasn't much in it, but just ahead when the ball was played. She doesn't feel that's the case. .20 minutes left to play in this final of the FIFA Series 2026 Kenya. Rankin. Cleared away from the feet of Ngesha. Here's Jericho. The ball clearly out of play. Kenya preparing a change. Messi Erlo player to come on. Wheeler, scorer of Australia's second. And the flag will go up almost instantaneously. Pisa, caught well offside, and the change will come, and it will be the end of the game for Bunyu and Geshe, unable to leave her impact in this game as she did in the semi-final. And on in her place comes Mercy Erlo. Rule. Torpy. Australia pushing for a third. Sam Kerr can't connect with it. May fall back to Wheeler. The back heel from Kerr. Unable to beat Onyango, the goalkeeper, with it. Kenya on the counter. Pisa there, the header. Just wide. Well, the word we're hearing from the referees is that they believed the ball hit the side of the net rather than going in, and that is why Australia were denied a third goal. Here's Ford, who put the ball in the back of the net on that occasion. Will feel hungry given her shortage of goals of late in domestic football to find the back of the net. She did score in the North London derby ahead of this international break. It's her first goal in the WSL since September. Mondi. .15 minutes left to play. Australia lead Kenya by 2-0. Torpy. Heatley. Well, the game ends in disappointment for Caitlin Ford, who will be replaced here. Should have had her name on the score sheet. Her goal wrongly ruled out by the referee. She'll shrug her shoulders as she comes off. On comes McNamara, and Rankin also replaced, with Courtney Nevin coming on in her place. Started in the semi-final, Courtney Nevin, and of course McNamara on such an excellent run of form in the Women's A-League in Australia. Top scorer this season with most goals and assists in the league. Australia having to rush back here. Luangu sends it across, and before Mondi could get there, it was the outstretched Mackenzie Arnold who intercepted the ball across the face of goal. Wheeler. McNamara. Asking for the ball to be played back to her. Van Egmond obliges. There'll be a corner for Australia. Or will it? It is a corner for Australia. Nevin, has just been introduced to the action, will take it. The Malmo left back, joined over summer from Leicester City. Nevin. May fall to Kerr still. Bullied off the ball. Good interception from Heatley. Can't control the ball well enough to keep it out of Kenyan possession. Torpy. Rule. Here's Sayer now, has space to drive into. Torpy waits for the right option to arrive. Kerr is there, opts to use it. From Wandi. Luangu up against Mackenzie Arnold. Excellent defensive work from Winnie Heatley. Arriving at just the right time. A brilliant tackle. Corner taken short, Amondi. Poor use of the set piece. Jericho. Mango. Jericho. 10 minutes left to play, just under. Well, back-to-back starts, an important back-to-back starts for Charlie Rule, who's continuing to grow and grow in an Australian shirt. And very much defensively looks to be the future of the team. Day. Group game in the Asian Cup. Guests of honour in the stadium today. It's a big game, a big opportunity for Kenya, and they have acquitted themselves well. They'd love to add a goal on the dot, lifting the ball towards Mackenzie Arnold. Van Egmond. Heatley. Rule. Torpy. Played a little too close to Wanali Majelico. Expecting a triple substitution shortly for Australia. Well, he made the most of his changes, Joe Montemurlo, his available changes in the semi-final to try and get fresh legs in. Of course, this big preparation ahead of the World Cup next year. Australia already qualified. Need to make the most of these windows to play teams from side of the AFC. So here come the changes for Australia, and Sam Kerr, scorer of the opening goal, will be replaced by Remy Simpson. On comes Alex Chidiac and Izzy Gomez as well. Caitlin Torpy replaced, and Claire Wheeler as well. So off come both the goal scorers. And of course, Chidiac with an excellent game against Malawi, starting that one. Maybe some surprise to see her not in the starting lineup today for this final, given the performance on Saturday. But of course, it's an opportunity, as we were just saying, for Joe Montemurlo to rotate his squad. Of course, a handful of players having not travelled as well, opting to put their attention post-defeat in the Asian Cup final into the run into the end of the season with their club teams, the domestic football. And then, of course, the injury to Steph Catley as well, who was named in the provisional squad. Kenya can't find a way through. She can be proud of her efforts tonight, Vivian Nasaka. So much pace to burn. So a corner with 5 minutes of the 90 left to play for Kenya. Cleared away by Alana Kennedy. He'll have another bite of the cherry here. And Placed just a little bit too close to Mackenzie Arnold. Alana Kennedy finds Amy Sayer. Chidiac ahead of her, quick touch, no one there on the return end to pick up the ball. Flick off the heels of Rule. Gomez trying to intercept up against Jellicoe. Egman, Chidiac, Gomez still there as options. Nevin. Gomez trying to get there. Has the most assists in the league, a big chance creator in the A-Leagues. There's a football for Central Coast Mariners. Rule. Heatley. Forward. Chidiac. McNamara Central has Simpson there in support as well. Nevin. Two minutes of the 90 left to play. Australia, one hand on the title. Kenya have had their chances. Few though in the second half. Errol. Luangu. Still Luangu! Saved by Mackenzie Arnold. Excellent reflexes once again. Out for a corner. Corner taken short. Jellicoe. High looping ball. Just tries to come away with it. Mango trying to get things moving quickly. Time running out for Kenya. And Nora. Simpson trying to get there. Ever so resilient, and Chidiac finds her way onto the ball. Nevin. Rule. Sayer. Finds a way past Opisa. 5 minutes of additional time at the end of the 90. Can Kenya do anything with it? Chaka. Jericho. And Nora. Emadot. Well, everything being sent forward for Vivian Nasaka to chase. Kennedy. Looking for the run of McNamara. Getting some valuable ground, Australia. Up comes Courtney Nevin to take the throw. Rule. Can Kenya find a consolation? Chance well blocked. And again, the boot of Izzy Gomez. Hasn't had the chances of Mondi that she had in the first half. Well, even a consolation goal would be wildly celebrated in this arena. .90 seconds left to play. And it will be a final that ends in disappointment for Kenya. They have acquitted themselves well. A brilliant victory, a dominant victory over India to reach this point. An excellent first half of this game. Just haven't been able to match the energy of Australia in the second half and in the latter stages of this game. They've tried. Almost gifted. And there may be a third, just wide. Out for the corner, McNamara knew she was close there. Well, an error, a lapse of judgment. And just come off the keeper as well. I think it takes a touch on the way out. Should be a corner for Australia. And Nola. And that is that. Australia are champions. A hard-fought victory in Nairobi. Kenya pushed them all the way. Decisions going against Australia. And it is finished here in the final of the FIFA Series 2026 Kenya. Kenya 0, Australia 2. Goals from Sam Kerr and Claire Wheeler. They should have had a third goal. A shake of the head from the referee and from McNamara. Kenya, though, have acquitted themselves well. The talking point after the game, no doubt, will be, as Kennedy goes over to try and explain the point of view of the Australians, that a third goal should have stood. not given by the referee. Her perception was that it went into the side netting. But still, regardless of the decision, Australia victorious. It's finished here in the Nyayo National Stadium. Kenya 0, Australia 2. Well, a huge opportunity over the course of these games for Joe Montemurro to show the talent that he has, the depth of talent that he has on the bench, and, well, no surprise to see him go over and express his thoughts on the decision made by the referee.